Welcome back to Tales by WZ. Today's story is about a guy whose girlfriend turned their anniversary into a reunion date with her male best friend, then tried to punish him when he refused to pay for it. As you listen, think about the exact moment you would have stood up and walked away. My girlfriend said, "You're jealous and controlling." I replied, "Get out." Then I paid my portion only, left the restaurant, blocked them, and filed a report when my vinyl collection went missing. But one DM from her bestie blew up their story. I'm 29 and I was with my girlfriend, 27, for 2 years. Things were decent, not perfect, but stable, until her best friend, 28, moved back to town about 6 months ago. Since then, it's been this slow shift where I'm no longer the main person in my own relationship. Plans changed last minute. Inside jokes I wasn't part of. Little comments that made me feel like I was overreacting if I didn't like something. And last night, it all came to a head. It was our 2-year anniversary. I made reservations at a nice steakhouse. Not a celebrity place, just a real date night spot. Cloth napkins, low lighting, button-down kind of place. I'd spent weeks planning it because I actually cared. The morning of the dinner, she dropped it on me like it was nothing. "Hey babe, my best friend just got back from a work trip and I haven't seen him in forever. I invited him to join us tonight. You don't mind, right?" I minded. A lot. It was our anniversary, not a group hangout, not a catch-up dinner. Our anniversary. But she had this talent for making me feel like the bad guy for having boundaries. I said, "It's our anniversary dinner." She said, "I know, but he's only in town for a few days, and you two should get to know each other better anyway. Come on, don't be like that." That was a red flag, a massive one. And I still let it slide, because in that moment I didn't want to fight, and I didn't want to be painted as insecure. That's the problem with dating someone who uses your decency against you. You keep choosing peace and they keep taking ground. We got to the restaurant at 7:00 p.m. He was already there. Sitting at our table. My reservation, and he had already ordered himself a cocktail on my tab, not asked, not even a heads up, just comfortable like he belonged there and I was the guest. The dinner was, honestly, insulting. For the first 20 minutes, they talked like I wasn't even in the chair next to them. Old stories, inside jokes. "Remember when we did this?" Oh my God, remember that. I tried to steer it back toward the point of the night. I said, "Babe, remember our first date when?" Her best friend cut me off immediately. "Dude, you have to hear this story about sophomore year." And off they went again, laughing while I sat there like background furniture. At some point you stop trying to join the conversation because every time you open your mouth, you get reminded you're not the priority. Then came the ordering. I ordered a steak. She got salmon, normal, reasonable. Her best friend asked the waiter about the wine list like he was hosting. "What's your most premium red? Something really special." The waiter recommended a bottle. $340. I almost choked on my water. Her best friend grinned. "Perfect, we'll take it. We're celebrating after all." My celebration, my reservation, my credit card on file. I looked at my girlfriend, waiting for her to at least pause or ask me or read the room. She smiled and nodded like it was romantic. "That sounds amazing." They poured 3 glasses and made a toast, not to us, not to 2 years, not to our anniversary. To old friends and new memories. That toast told me everything. I wasn't her partner in that moment. I was the guy paying for the atmosphere. There's a certain kind of disrespect that doesn't need yelling. It's quiet, casual, and confident. I excused myself to the bathroom. Took my phone. Stood in a stall and did quick math because I needed facts, not emotion. My meal was about $45. Her meal around $38. His meal $62 plus a lobster tail add-on, of course. Drinks added up. The wine was the big swing, tax and tip on top. My share came out to around $260. I walked out of the bathroom and went straight to the bar, flagged down a different server. "Hey, I need to pay my portion of table 12 separately. Can you split it?" She looked confused, but she did it. I paid cash. $260 plus an extra $40 for the trouble because the server didn't deserve to get dragged into my relationship drama. Then I walked out through the back entrance by the kitchen, got in my car, and drove home. I turned my phone off for a while because I needed silence more than I needed an argument. About an hour later, I turned it back on. 82 missed calls, 156 texts. The tone was immediate panic. Where did you go? This isn't funny. The bill came and they said you already paid your part only. Are you serious right now? You left me here with a $400 plus bill. This is so embarrassing. I had to call my mom to help pay. Then the classic dramatic closer. We're done. And then a message from her best friend like he had any right to address me. Real mature, bro. You made her cry in public. What kind of man does this? She deserves better than you. That one actually made me laugh because the entitlement was so pure. I replied to her, and only her. You invited someone to our anniversary dinner. He ordered $340 wine without asking me. You both ignored me all night. I paid for my food. Figure out the rest. Then I blocked her best friend and went to bed. The next morning, she showed up at my apartment. We needed to talk, apparently. 2 days later, we did talk, and it went exactly how you'd expect. I let her in because I figured we should settle it like adults. She came in swinging. How could you humiliate me like that in front of him, in front of everyone? I said. It was our anniversary. Why was he there? He's my best friend. You're supposed to be okay with that, I said. Best friends don't crash anniversary dinners and order a $340 bottle of wine on someone else's dime. She switched tactics and started crying. You left me there. I had to call my mom. Do you know how embarrassing that was? I said, you know what was embarrassing? Being a third wheel at my own anniversary dinner. Then she got angry again. You're being ridiculous. He was just excited to celebrate with us. I said, celebrate what? You're 2 years with him. That's when she dropped the real line, the one she'd been building toward. Maybe if you weren't so insecure, you could handle me having male friends. This is why we don't work. You're jealous and controlling. Because I didn't want to fund her reunion date with another guy on our anniversary. I looked at her and said, get out. She blinked. Excuse me, I said, we're done. Take your stuff and leave. She laughed like she couldn't believe I was serious. You're breaking up with me after what you did, I said. Yep. You've got until Sunday to get your things. She stormed out and called me every name she could think of as she walked down the hall. Here's the part that makes it messy. It's my apartment, my lease, my name, but she'd been staying there most nights for the past year. She had a lot of stuff there. Saturday morning, she came back with her best friend and her sister, and I'd already boxed up most of her things. Clothes, toiletries, books, random stuff. Her best friend tried to play the diplomat. Look, man, we got off on the wrong foot. Let's talk this out. I said, there's nothing to talk about. Here's her stuff. My girlfriend pushed past him and started scanning the place like she was looking for something. Where's my speaker? In that box. My posters. In that box. Then she walked into my bedroom, and I felt my stomach drop because I knew what she was looking for. I collect signed vinyl records. Started in college. I had around 30. Some of them were worth real money. One of them was the crown jewel, a signed limited pressing from an indie band that broke up years ago. Only 100 copies exist. I got it signed at their last show. I kept them on a shelf in my bedroom, past tense. She turned around and said, where's the signed vinyl collection? I walked in, looked at the shelf, empty. I stared for a second like maybe my brain would correct it. It didn't. I looked at her. Did you take them? She shrugged, calm as anything. I helped you store them last month when we were cleaning, must have forgotten where I put them. That was a lie, a casual one. I said, you took my vinyl collection. She repeated, I helped you store them, not my fault you don't remember where. Her sister jumped in, trying to smooth it over. Look, emotions are high, I'm sure they'll turn up right. But my girlfriend didn't look emotional. She looked satisfied, and that's when it clicked. She took them before the anniversary dinner, probably after I mentioned the reservations. This wasn't an accident. This was leverage, a punishment she had ready. This is the moment you stop arguing about feelings and start protecting yourself. I said, you have 24 hours to return them or I'm filing a police report for theft. She laughed. Good luck proving I took anything. Then she leaned in just enough for me to hear it clearly. This is what you get for humiliating me. They left with her boxes, and my collection, worth roughly $4,000, was gone. I called the police non-emergency line. They told me without proof she took them, it could be treated like a civil issue. Small claims, documentation, all of that. Great, but I didn't just sit there. I took photos of everything. The shelf before, because I posted my collection online sometimes. The empty shelf now. Screenshots of texts where she mentioned helping me organize them. I called my renter's insurance. They told me I'd be covered for theft, but they'd want a police report. Catch-22, until you have enough proof that someone will actually take you seriously. I booked a lawyer consultation. Meanwhile, she kept texting from her sister's phone because I blocked her main number. You really calling the cops over some records? Psycho. They're probably in storage somewhere you forgot about. This is harassment. My friend is a lawyer. He says you have no case. Sure. A week later, the lawyer consultation went better than I expected. Small claims in my state goes up to $10,000, so I could sue for the full value. And then I remembered something important. I have a podcast. Not huge, maybe 300 regular listeners. I talk about music, review albums, sometimes interview local musicians. In more than one episode, I'd shown my vinyl collection on camera, including the rare signed pressing. One of my listeners reached out, property lawyer. He said, "You have video evidence of the collection in your possession with dates and timestamps. That's strong proof of ownership. And if she admitted via text she stored them, that's proof of access. Document everything." I went back through my episodes and pulled clips. Clear footage of the full collection on the shelf, posted as recently as 3 weeks earlier. I sent everything to my lawyer. He loved it. He told me to file the police report again, this time with the evidence. This time, the officer actually listened. They said they would follow up with her. 2 days later, she was blowing up her sister's phone trying to reach me. The cops came to my work. This is harassment. You're ruining my life over stupid records. I'll give them back if you drop this. I had my lawyer respond. Return the full collection in the condition it was taken. Provide proof by photo within 24 hours, then we can discuss dropping the report. Radio silence. Then her best friend messaged me on Instagram. I forgot to block him there. "Yo man, this is getting out of hand. She's really stressed. She doesn't even know where half of them are. Some might have gotten damaged in storage. Just drop this and move on." Damaged in storage, so she did take them. I screenshotted it and sent it to my lawyer. My lawyer said, "Beautiful. He just admitted she has them and implied damage." We filed small claims. It cost me $85. We sued for $6,500 based on the market value of the missing records, damage, and fees. She got served at her work. Her sister called me screaming that I was destroying her life, and it was just some records. Her mom left a voicemail saying she raised her better, and she was disappointed in both of us, and I should drop the legal nonsense and work it out like adults. I texted back once. I tried. I gave her 24 hours to return them. She refused. Her friend admitted they're damaged. This is the adult way to handle theft. Here's the part I'm not proud of, but it happened. I made a podcast episode about the situation. I didn't name her. I just laid out the facts. The anniversary dinner, the missing collection, the legal steps. The episode blew up. Downloads went from a few hundred to thousands. People were angry on my behalf. Someone tagged her workplace online. Not me. She worked for a nonprofit connected to youth programs, and having an employee tied to a theft allegation was not a good look. She got put on administrative leave pending investigation. Now she was really spiraling. Her best friend messaged again. "You need to stop this. She lost her job because of you. Over what? Some records. Be a man and let it go." I replied, "She lost her job because she stole thousands of dollars in property and refused to return it. Actions have consequences. Tell her to return my collection or see me in court." Then I blocked him again. Court was a month later. Leading up to it, her family kept trying to pressure me to drop it. Her dad was the only one who sounded calm. "Son, I get you're upset, but is this really worth destroying her career over?" "She made a mistake," I said. "She stole from me and refused to give it back for weeks. Then her friend admitted the collection was damaged. That's not a mistake. That's a choice." He asked what I wanted. I said, "I want my property returned in the condition it was taken, or compensation for the full value plus damages." 2 days before court, I got a text from her sister's phone. "She found 18 of the records. Some are scratched. Some cases are cracked. That's all she has. Take it or leave it." 18 out of 30, and none of the rare pressings. I asked where the other 12 were, specifically the signed limited pressing. "She doesn't know, probably lost in the move." Lost. A record worth about $2,200. I didn't respond. I just showed up to court prepared. She came with a lawyer. Cheap suit, annoyed expression, like he hated every second of this case. She wore business casual and looked like she'd been crying. Her lawyer tried to frame me as vindictive. "Your Honor, my client admits she may have mistakenly taken some records during an emotional breakup, but the plaintiff is using the legal system to harass her. She's lost her job over this. She's offered to return what she has." My lawyer presented the evidence. Podcast footage showing the full collection in my apartment with dates, screenshots of her admitting she stored them, her best friend's messages implying she had them and they were damaged, market valuations, photos of the collection posted online showing all 30. The judge looked at her lawyer. "Does your client have the 12 missing records, particularly the limited pressing valued at $2,200? Her lawyer whispered with her. Then he said, "Your Honor, my client believes they may have been accidentally donated to a thrift store during." The judge paused like he needed a second to process that. "She donated a signed limited edition record of that value to a thrift store." More whispering, more scrambling. Her lawyer tried to soften it. Emotions were high. The breakup was messy. My client may have acted rashly, but the judge cut him off. "This is clear-cut theft and destruction of property." The plaintiff provided ample evidence of ownership and value. Your client admitted possession and her associate admitted damages. Judgment, $5,800. It covered the missing records, the damaged ones, plus fees. Her lawyer asked for a payment plan. The judge granted it. $300 a month until it's paid. She burst into tears right there in the courtroom. Outside, her family was waiting like it was a movie scene. Her mom walked up to me and said, "I hope you're happy. You've ruined her." I said, "She ruined herself when she stole from me out of spite." Her best friend was there too, still trying to make this about male friends. "This is messed up, man. All because you couldn't handle her having friends." I said, "No. This started because you ordered a $340 bottle on my tab at my anniversary dinner, and she decided stealing my property was a good way to punish me." Then I got in my car and left. That night her mom sent one more long message about forgiveness and mistakes and how I should find it in my heart to move on. I replied once, clearly. "Your daughter stole thousands of dollars of my property after I refused to fund her reunion dinner with another man on our anniversary. She refused to return it for weeks. When she finally offered to return some, half were damaged and the most valuable ones were gone. The judge agreed it was theft. I'm done discussing this. Have a good night." Then I blocked the whole family. The 18 records she returned were in rough shape. Cracked cases, torn sleeves, some vinyl scratched. Insurance covered part of it because I had the judgment which helped prove the theft. The rare signed pressing is gone. Maybe it really did end up at a thrift store. Maybe someone got the deal of a lifetime for $3. I'll never know. I started rebuilding my collection. It'll take time and it'll cost money, but I'll be fine. I also started therapy because I needed to unpack why I tolerated being treated like an inconvenience for so long. I learned a lot about boundaries, about recognizing disrespect early, about not letting someone label you insecure just because you expect basic respect. Would I do anything differently? I'd probably file the police report sooner. I'd probably stop trying to be reasonable with someone who was acting out of spite. But the core decision, refusing to pay for that dinner, ending the relationship and pursuing the theft legally, I don't regret. Lesson 1. If someone makes you feel guilty for having normal boundaries, that's not love. That's control. Lesson 2. A partner who respects you does not turn your special moments into a stage for someone else. Lesson 3. When someone retaliates with theft, lies, or humiliation, stop negotiating and start documenting. Lesson 4. If a third person can walk into your relationship and feel entitled to your money and your seat at the table, the real problem is your partner allowing it. Lesson 5. You can replace things like records, but you can't replace years spent accepting disrespect. What would you have done at the restaurant when the best friend ordered the $340 bottle? And if your partner stole from you after a breakup, would you pursue it legally? Or would you walk away to avoid the drama?